Welcome to Hollywood Secrets Information, where the golden era of cinema reveals stories you've never heard before. When we think of timeless laughter and pure childhood innocence, one name instantly comes to mind: the Little Rascals, originally known as our gang. First appearing in 1922, this beloved series introduced a group of everyday kids whose natural humor and playful adventures captured hearts across the world. They weren't just acting, they were living moments that felt real, and that's what made them unforgettable. But behind those smiles and cheerful scenes lies a story that's far more emotional than you might expect. While these young stars brought joy to millions, their own lives after the spotlight often took very different paths. Fame came early, but stability and protection didn't always follow. As the years passed, many of these children faced struggles that changed their lives forever. Today, we're stepping beyond the laughter to uncover the real stories behind these iconic faces, stories filled with challenges, hardships, and in some cases, truly tragic endings. Stay with us as we reveal what really happened when the cameras stopped rolling. 1. Carl Alfalfa Switzer, he was one of the most recognizable faces from our gang. Instantly remembered for his spiky hair, off-key singing, and lovable, awkward charm. Born as Carl Switzer, he rose to fame as a child, becoming one of the standout stars of the series. Audiences adored his comedic timing and innocent personality, but like many child actors of his time, his success didn't translate into a stable adulthood. After his time with the Little Rascals, Carl struggled to find consistent work in Hollywood. The roles became smaller, the recognition faded, and financial difficulties began to take hold. He worked various odd jobs, including bartending and breeding hunting dogs, trying to make ends meet. His personal life was equally troubled, marked by a turbulent marriage and ongoing money problems. Tragically, his life came to a sudden and violent end at just 31 years old. In 1959, a dispute over a relatively small debt reportedly escalated into a confrontation, and Carl was shot during the altercation. His death shocked fans and became one of the darkest stories linked to the Our Gang legacy, turning the once cheerful child star into a symbol of Hollywood's harsh realities. 2. George Spanky McFarland, he played by George McFarland, was another central figure in Our Gang, known for his confident personality, expressive face, and natural leadership among the kids. As one of the most prominent members of the cast, Spanky became a household name during his childhood, bringing laughter to audiences with his clever remarks and memorable presence. However, growing up in the shadow of such early fame proved to be a significant challenge. Like many child stars, George found it difficult to escape the identity that had made him famous. Despite attempts to continue acting and even explore business ventures later in life, he was always seen as Spanky by the public. This struggle to redefine himself beyond his childhood role weighed heavily on him over the years. While his life wasn't as outwardly tragic as some of his co-stars, it was marked by the quiet frustration of being unable to fully move on from the past. In 1993, at the age of 64, George passed away after suffering a heart attack. His death marked the end of an era for fans who had grown up watching him, remembering him not just as an actor, but as a symbol of a simpler, more innocent time in entertainment history. 3. Billy Buckwheat. Thomasy, known to audiences through Billy Thomas, brought a unique and unforgettable presence to Our Gang. With his wide-eyed expressions and distinctive comedic style, Buckwheat became one of the most iconic characters in the series. As one of the few African-American child stars of that era to gain widespread recognition, Billy's role carried both significance and complexity. However, behind the scenes, stories about his experience on set have often been surrounded by controversy and speculation. Some reports and rumors have suggested that the demanding nature of filming and the pressures placed on young actors may have affected him deeply, though much of this remains debated. After leaving the spotlight, Billy chose a quieter life, largely staying away from Hollywood and public attention. Unlike some of his co-stars, he did not actively seek to remain in the entertainment industry, instead living a more private existence. Despite this, his later years were marked by isolation and a sense of distance from the fame he once knew. In 1980, at the age of 49, Billy Thomas passed away due to a heart attack. His death, like many others from the Our Gang cast, added to the bittersweet legacy of a series that brought so much joy, yet carried so many hidden struggles behind the scenes. For Matthew Stymie, Beard he brought to life by Matthew Beard, was one of the most beloved and recognizable members of our gang, known for his oversized bowler hat, quick wit, and natural comedic charm. As a child, Stymie's confident personality and clever dialogue made him a standout, earning him a special place in the hearts of audiences. However, life after the spotlight proved to be far more difficult. As he grew older and the roles disappeared, Matthew struggled to find direction, eventually falling into a dangerous cycle of heroin addiction. His life spiraled during these years, and he faced serious legal and personal challenges as a result. But unlike many tragic Hollywood stories, Matthew's journey also included redemption. Through determination and rehabilitation, he managed to overcome his addiction and rebuild his life, even returning briefly to acting in later years. Sadly, his health declined in his later life. After suffering a fall, complications led to pneumonia, and in 1981, at the age of 56, Matthew Beard passed away. His story stands as both a warning and an inspiration, a child star who fell into darkness but fought his way back before his untimely death. 5. Darla Hood, she remembered through Darla Hood, was the sweet and charming leading girl of our gang, often portrayed as the center of affection in the group's innocent love stories. With her bright smile and graceful presence, she became one of the most adored faces of the series. However, behind her picture-perfect image, Darla faced deep personal struggles, particularly related to her appearance and the pressure to maintain her youthful beauty. As she transitioned into adulthood, the expectations of Hollywood weighed heavily on her, leading to ongoing anxiety about her image and career. Though she continued working in entertainment as a singer and actress, the shadow of her childhood fame remained. Tragically, her life was cut short in a sudden and shocking way. In 1979, at just 47 years old, Darla underwent a surgical procedure that required a blood transfusion. Due to a contaminated transfusion, she suffered heart failure and passed away unexpectedly. Her death stunned fans and added another heartbreaking chapter to the legacy of our gang, reminding the world how fragile life can be, even for those who once seemed to have it all. 6. Norman "Chubby" Chaney, he portrayed by Norman Chaney, was known for his cheerful personality and lovable, chubby appearance that made him a fan favorite during his time with our gang. His innocence and natural humor brought warmth to the screen, and he quickly became one of the standout child actors of the series. However, unlike the laughter he inspired, Norman's real life was filled with serious health challenges. He suffered from a glandular disorder that caused extreme and unpredictable weight fluctuations, significantly affecting his physical and emotional well-being. As he grew older, his condition worsened, and the once healthy child star struggled to maintain his health. Despite efforts to manage his illness, the medical limitations of the time made treatment difficult. Tragically, Norman's life was cut painfully short. In 1936, at just 21 years old, he passed away, leaving behind a legacy of laughter overshadowed by a life that ended far too soon. His story remains one of the most heartbreaking among the Our Gang cast. A young talent whose bright future was taken away before he ever had the chance to fully live it. 7. Jackie Cooper. He was one of the rare success stories to emerge from the Our Gang era, transitioning from a beloved child star into a respected adult actor and director. As a young performer, Jackie displayed extraordinary emotional depth, even earning an Academy Award nomination at just 9 years old, a remarkable achievement that set him apart from many of his peers. However, behind that success was a much darker reality about how those emotions were sometimes extracted. During his early career, there was a disturbing incident involving director Norman Torog, who reportedly took extreme measures to force a genuine crying performance out of young Jackie. According to accounts, the director threatened harm to Jackie's beloved dog to provoke real tears on camera, a moment that left a lasting psychological impact on him. While Jackie went on to build a long and successful career in film and television, even winning awards later in life, the emotional toll of his early experiences remained a haunting reminder of how child actors were often treated during Hollywood's golden age. 8. Billy Froggy Laughlin. He remembered through Billy Laughlin, became one of the later additions to Our Gang, instantly recognizable for his raspy, frog-like voice that made him stand out in every scene. His unique character brought a fresh wave of humor to the series, and audiences quickly grew fond of his quirky personality. Unlike some of his co-stars, Billy did not pursue a long career in Hollywood after his time on the show. Instead, he lived a relatively quiet and ordinary life, stepping away from the spotlight at a young age. However, his life was tragically cut short in a sudden and devastating accident. In 1948, at just 16 years old, Billy was involved in a motor scooter crash that resulted in fatal injuries. His untimely death shocked fans and added yet another heartbreaking story to the legacy of the Little Rascals, marking the loss of a young life that had only just begun. 9. Bobby Weezer Hutchins, he portrayed by Robert Hutchins, was another memorable face from the series, known for his innocent expressions and gentle on-screen presence. As a child, Bobby brought warmth and sincerity to his roles, becoming a familiar and comforting figure for audiences. But behind the scenes, his early life was far from easy. Reports suggest that he experienced a troubled home environment, which may have shaped his quiet and reserved personality. As he grew older, Bobby chose a different path, leaving Hollywood behind and joining the military in search of stability and purpose. For a time, it seemed he was building a new chapter away from the pressures of childhood fame. Tragically, that chapter ended far too soon. In 1945, at just 20 years old, Bobby was killed during a military training exercise when his aircraft collided mid-air with another plane. His sudden death not only devastated those who knew him, but also served as another painful reminder of how many Our Gang stars faced lives marked by hardship and loss beyond their early years of fame. 10. Alan Farina Hoskins, he brought to life by Alan Hoskins, was one of the earliest and most prominent African-American child stars in Our Gang. His expressive face and natural comedic timing made him a standout performer, earning him recognition at a time when opportunities for black actors were extremely limited. However, behind the scenes, Allen faced harsh realities that reflected the racial climate of the era. Reports from that time suggest he was subjected to racist remarks and threats even while working on set, a painful contrast to the joy he brought audiences. Despite these challenges, Allen showed remarkable resilience. After leaving acting, he stepped away from Hollywood and dedicated much of his later life to helping others. He became involved in rehabilitation and social work programs, supporting individuals struggling with addiction and hardship, perhaps drawing from the difficulties he had witnessed and experienced himself. In 1980, Alan Hoskins passed away after a battle with cancer, leaving behind a legacy that extended far beyond entertainment, one of strength, perseverance, and compassion in the face of adversity. 11. Dorothy Deborah, she remembered as Dorothy DeBorba, was known for her cheerful personality, distinctive blonde curls, and lively presence in our gang. As a child actress, she brought energy and charm to the screen, often playing spirited and talkative characters that audiences adored. Unlike many of her co-stars, Dorothy chose a quieter and more stable path after leaving Hollywood. She stepped away from the spotlight and built a life outside of entertainment, eventually working as a secretary. While she may have left fame behind, her contribution to one of Hollywood's most beloved series remained a lasting part of her identity. However, her later years were marked by health struggles. Dorothy suffered from emphysema, a serious respiratory condition that gradually impacted her quality of life. In 2010, she passed away at the age of 85. Though her death was not as sudden or shocking as some of her fellow cast members, it still marked the loss of a once bright child star whose laughter had once echoed through the golden age of cinema. 12. Scotty Beckett, he portrayed by Scotty Beckett, represents one of the most tragic and troubled stories among our gang alumni. As a child, Scotty showed promise and charm, appearing not only in the series but also in other films as he grew older. However, his transition into adulthood was filled with instability and personal struggles. Over the years, he became entangled in legal troubles, faced multiple arrests, and battled severe alcoholism. His life seemed to spiral further out of control as time went on, with relationships breaking down and opportunities slipping away. Despite attempts to regain stability, Scotty found himself caught in a cycle that was difficult to escape. His story took a dark and mysterious turn toward the end of his life. In 1968, at the age of 38, Scotty Beckett died following a violent altercation, with circumstances surrounding his death often described as suspicious and unclear. His passing added yet another layer of tragedy to the Our Gang legacy, a stark reminder of how the pressures of early fame and personal demons can lead to devastating outcomes. And as we come to the end of this journey, it becomes clear that the Little Rascals, or Our Gang, was more than just a comedy series. It was a chapter of Hollywood history filled with both light and shadow. These children made the world laugh, brought joy during difficult times, and created memories that still live on today. But behind that laughter were real lives that faced struggles, heartbreak, and in many cases, deeply tragic endings. Their stories remind us that fame at a young age is not always a blessing. The spotlight can shine brightly, but it can also fade quickly, leaving behind challenges that many are not prepared to face. While we remember them for their innocence and humor on screen, it's just as important to remember the human side of their journeys, the battles they fought, the pain they endured, and the legacies they left behind. Though many of them are gone, their work continues to live on, bringing smiles to new generations and reminding us of a simpler time in entertainment. And perhaps the greatest way to honor them is not just by watching their films, but by understanding their stories, both the joyful and the tragic. Thank you for watching Hollywood Secrets Information. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from the golden age of Hollywood. Until next time, keep exploring the secrets behind the stars.